We're gonna go to line 5. Line 5.
Hello.
Hey Ken, how you doing? Hey Ken, did you see the PDN? The plan for the GMH is 95% completed, and nobody knows anything about it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to call in, because how could something be 95% completed when, number one, they haven't even confirmed ownership of the property, and they haven't done the soil studies, they haven't done the site survey, they haven't done the historical remains removal, they haven't done unexplored ordnance removal, they haven't done traffic studies on the back road to Anderson, and they haven't had the community meetings where they could get input from the community. I mean, everything that they should have done in order to have a plan that's 95% complete, there's no proof they did any of it. No proof whatsoever in hundreds of pages of Government of Guam documents.
Yeah. Well,
And maybe if I hadn't have been arrested, I would have learned more at the strategic planning meetings that they held last week.
Well, they did say GPA said it'll cost $15 million to bring power to the site. So $8.5 million for a new substation and $6 million for transmission lines. But Guam Waterworks Authority has not submitted any estimates on for sewer and water.
Yeah, so that's why I have a lot of concerns, because how could a plan be 95% complete when you haven't had any meetings with any stakeholders? None of the doctors I've talked to have been involved in any of these meetings. None of the other community stakeholders that I know of have been involved in any of these meetings. I certainly haven't been involved in any of these meetings. And so that's why, this is the type of activity that leads to such high levels of distrust in the government, because it's gotten to the point now where I was listening to a political scientist, I can't remember his name, but, he was talking about in 1970, 81% of the people surveyed trusted the government. And when they did the same survey last year, we're down to like 18% of the people trust the government. And when we look at the way things have been happening here on our island, I venture to say that those numbers are even lower. There's this community belief, pari politics. Everybody tells, it's pari politics. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And, that's pervasive in our community. And now we have a situation where the governor wants to commit somewhere between $2 and $3 billion of money. And I say that because when we're looking at the documents we do have access to, if we just get it at $871 million, we're looking at $69 million a year for 40 years. That's $2.4 billion right there, just on the building. That's not infrastructure, that's not roads, that is just the buildings. And then we look at the cost of operations. Right now, they're projecting the cost of operating our existing building at $140 million a year. We know that $90 million comes from revenue. That means taxpayers are now going to be paying $50 million. During the Calvo administration, the donut hole was $10 million a year. And now we're up to $50 million a year under this administration. And that doesn't include, the $69 million that it's going to cost to pay for the building. So we're looking at over $200 million a year to run Guam Memorial Hospital at the rate we're going. But we haven't even seen the plan yet. So you've been around government a long time. How many times in your experience has a Government of Guam estimate come in at or lower than estimates?
Oh no, and then you have your cost overruns and that kind of thing, and are there going to be work order changes and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, in preparing for the video I posted online, the other day. I went in and looked at 5 or 6 hospitals that have been built or are in the process of being built right now in the United States. And we're looking at around $325 million is a ballpark average for 150 bed hospital. So where did they come up with 871 as their number to build a hospital here on Guam? You know, I mean, even in American Samoa, which has poorer logistics, less construction capability, they projected a cost at between 345 and 390 million to build a 150 bed hospital in American Samoa. Mm-hmm. And you would think Guam, with better logistics, we have better logistics between Guam and, you know, the west coast of the U.S. than American Samoa does. Mm-hmm. We have bigger and better construction companies. Plus, we have an active military buildup right now, so we could piggyback on the end of that. And it would be cheaper than building in American Samoa, yet somehow we're at $800 million just for the Guam Memorial Hospital. It doesn't make sense. And now we have a plan that's 95% complete. That doesn't make sense either. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they refuse to release any details of this plan, they refuse to let anybody outside of the administration look at this plan or review this plan, that scares the hell out of me.
Well, you know, I messaged several doctors that I know and asked them if they took part in the development of this plan, and they said no. One doctor did say that they were called, or they were sent a message. Here, let me see if I can find it. 2 days prior to the planning meeting, and you know, they said 2 days prior to the planning meeting is such short notice for doctors to make
clear their schedule.
Yeah, and they have patients coming in and rebook these patients and that kind of thing, and it just wasn't a sufficient time to give them to attend. But none of them said that they were part of the development of the plan.
Yeah, that's the part that scares me too, because when we look at how many millions of dollars doctors have spent developing medical facilities to support GMH in its current location. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the part that's very critical, because we're not Queens Medical Center. Queens Medical Center has 1,000 doctors on staff. Mm-hmm. I think we got like 14 or somewhere between 14 and 20 on staff. The rest of the doctors on island have privileges.
Right.
And so they support Guam Memorial Hospital,
right.
But they're not employees at Guam Memorial Hospital.
Right.
If we're going to build the hospital way out there, away from all the investments these doctors have made, they're not going to walk away from their clinics, mm-hmm. you know, and they're certainly not going to be able to support a hospital out there. It would be easier for them to transfer all their patients to Guam Regional. And that will further destroy the financials of Guam Memorial, as if this governor hasn't done enough to destroy them. But moving it out there to Manilo, that will be the hospital of last resort. Nobody will go there. Mm-hmm. And the taxpayers will have to shoulder the entire burden of the operating cost of that hospital. And with a $3 billion debt load on top of it, I mean, remember, that $69 million a year is after we pay $300 million down. Mm-hmm. You know, so, you know, this is not a pretty story for taxpayers at all. We should have used that $300 million to improve Guam Memorial Hospital. I mean, the Army Corps identified $21 million to make Guam Memorial Hospital usable for the next 5 years while we try to figure this out. Mm-hmm. But we haven't done that. We sent the money over to Guam Visitors Bureau to build another monstrosity that will go over budget. Kind of like the museum did, kind of like the palace out there for the utility palace on the back road to Anderson. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why she wants to put it there, so that the hospital is close to GPA and UP GWA offices.
Yeah, but I don't know what the reason for that is. But again, a major concern, and I know, doctors play a large role. Like you said, a lot of the medical care provided for by doctors at GMH are done by doctors who have hospital privileges, and you would think that they would from the beginning get their input on the type of facilities they would like to see based on the types of patients they have, right?
Yeah, and how close it is to their offices. I did a Google search, doctor's offices, Guam. And, when you do a Google search that way, you get the map, and you look at the map, and then there's all these little dots all over from Agana to Upper Tumon. And it's just covered with dots for doctors' offices. There's only one dot out there in Manila. That's the AMC clinic. So, that's the part that just is so concerning. I mean, we're either going to build the hospital in the Tamuning area, and we've got a lot of government land in Tamuning. We actually do. When you look at Kapiolani Women and Children, they're in the process of rebuilding their hospital. They're taking it from 200,000 square feet to 450,000 square feet. They're taking their parking garage from, I think, about 200 or 300 stalls to 1,000 stalls. And they're doing this entire facility on 6 acres. I don't see why she's adamant she needs 110 acres or something like that, because here Kapiolani Women and Children is building a hospital twice the size on 6 acres. And it's not like we haven't built a 6-story high-rise here on Guam. God forbid, I mean, we have a lot of 6-story buildings here on Guam, but that's what they're building in Hawaii, a 6-story hospital on 6 acres. And so when you look at Tamuning, we have a lot of government land still in the Tamuning area that would be suitable. So we already own the land, so we don't have that problem. And we're not depriving ancestral landowners of their land, so we're not doing that. And right there in Tamuning, the lot that I'm thinking about, there's others, but the one I like is the one where Hakabotan building is. That's a Chamorro Land Trust property right there. And that area is big enough to build a hospital, and it's right on the Marine Corps Drive, so we don't have roadway issues like we do on the back road to Anderson. There's water, power, sewer right there. We know that because there's ITC building, there's shopping malls, there's hospitals in the area. So we know that there's sufficient water, power, sewer in that area, so we don't have to spend $100 million or more to bring the utilities in there. And the road, we're not going to have to spend $100 to $500 million widening roads and putting new roads in. So for taxpayers all the way around, it's a much better idea to build there. Even if we have to condemn the Guam Greyhound racetrack property and build a hospital there, it would be cheaper for the citizens of Guam to do that than it would be to build out there in the back road to Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that they need 118 acres.
And I understand why. I mean, when I went to the strategy meeting, I thought it was at GMH. So at 7:25 in the morning, I pulled into the parking lot at GMH, and they reserved parking now. So the right side parking lot is all for employees, right? And the left side parking lot says patients and guests. But when I pulled in at 7:22, the left side of the parking lot was full.
Yeah, they're all full.
What do you think the chances are that at 7:22 on a Wednesday morning, about 500 patients were there?
So you're saying that the majority of that is parking? Then build a parking a building. I mean, you go, for example, like to Straub in Honolulu. They're not taking that much space, and they have a parking structure where you can park. So
Yeah, Straub is on 2.5 acres. My office used to be on the other side of Straub. So my office was on Baratania Street, and behind our office was Straub Hospital.
Right.
So when I had to go to the hospital, I just walked through our parking lot directly into the alleyway between our building and Straub.
Right.
So we can do better. We must do better because we have a population of 40,000 households. We don't have a population of 450,000 households like they do in Oahu. We only have 40,000.
Yeah, I think my big contention here, Ken, is that you have a hospital plan according to the company hired to develop it, saying it's 95% complete. But yet, doctors I've spoken to didn't participate in any input.
Neither did the ones I talked to.
That's what's troubling to me. Again, it's like GVB building what they're planning down at Ipoh without getting a public input. I mean, whatever happened to stakeholder participation? That's my thing. Is what happened to stakeholder participation? And
well, under this administration, there is no such thing because we haven't seen it in anything leading up to the pandemic.
Yeah.
That remember, 2019 was our best year ever, tourism-wise, head count. But the numbers said that the spend was way off, and the reason is because the economy was already in slow collapse in Asia as a result of the continuation of the financial meltdown in 28, 9, and 10. The effects were still hitting Asia. And that's why we see the economies in Asia that were already slowly collapsing. Then we had the pandemic, and they started collapsing more to the point where companies in South Korea and Japan are laying off people, and they're shutting down operations. And then we had the war in the Ukraine, which is really driving a stake into the heart of the Asian economies right now. And where do our tourists come from? They come from Asia.
Yeah.
So as the economy in Asia continues to deteriorate, we're going to see fewer and fewer tourists. I mean, a couple of days ago, there was a headline trumpeting crossing the 200,000 mark of visitors to Guam. We used to get between 150 and 180 a month, and now here we are 9 months in, and we only got 200,000. That's not a strong enough economy to keep our businesses afloat. But we got 300 million sitting in the bank that could help stimulate the local economy in other ways if they would release it to do that.
All right, Ken, I got to get going here, man.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, take care. We're going to take a break for traffic with Dice on the go. We'll be right back.
PNC News.
We were talking before the break with Ken Leon-Guerrero in today's PDN. A headline. The headline says "Plan Kept Secret." And, everyone knows Ken Leon-Guerrero is a candidate for senator, and he got arrested last week for being at a meeting at a hotel, and he wanted to, participate, and he said it was a part of the planning of the GMH, but they told him it was a staff training, and because he didn't want to leave, he got arrested. So in today's PDN, in the front page, it's the caption reads "Plan Kept Secret," and it says that the consultant, a Matrix Design Group, is 95% complete with the hospital plan. And the group is required to share the plan during 4 presentations to policymakers and representatives of island medical and public health sectors. But, the thing is, you would think that they would engage the medical community and the community in general during the planning process in developing this plan. And then from there you get all the input, and then develop a plan. I mean, now they've developed a plan, and now they're going to get input from the lawmakers and the representatives, and then I guess they're going to make recommendations to the plan, and then they're going to make changes to the plan. I don't know. You would think that it would be much easier if they engaged the stakeholders from the get-go. Doctors who attend to our people out in the community, can provide detailed information on the type of care and facilities that our hospital needs based upon the needs of the people and their patients. And so, it's just puzzling. It's the same thing of what's happening down at Ipoh. Putting a plan together for Ipoh without even engaging not just the people of Guam, the people who use the Ipoh Beach facilities on a regular basis, but even the tourism community. I was talking to some folks in the tourism community, and they weren't even aware of what was being planned down at Ipoh Beach until it appeared in the paper. So, I don't know why we're not engaging. Why don't they have what they call charrettes? Where they call in all the stakeholders, and they say, okay, we're planning on building this hospital complex, and this is what we're planning on doing. Give us your input. What should we build? What are the needs of your patients? What is the and then from there, taking all the information, then developing a plan based upon information from stakeholders in the community. So, but no, it's develop the plan and tell the people and the stakeholders that this is the plan. What do you think of it? It's almost like putting the cart before the horse. You think that they would engage the community from the beginning of the planning process versus at the end. We've got John on line 3. John, you're on there with Tony Lamarina. John.
Hey, Tony. How's it going, Senator?
I'm doing good, John.
Hey, so do you think the current administration is so arrogant enough to believe that they know exactly what's best for us without consulting the constituents of this island?
Well, the thing too, John, I contacted some doctors, and they one doctor, I asked him, I said, were you invited to participate in this plan? And he gave me like 6 emojis of laughing.
Right. So to that point, and to my point in my question is this administration that arrogant to believe that they know what's best for this entire island without consulting the rest of the island, the people that pay their salaries?
I'm not going to say, yes, but it appears that it appears that way because...
Well, if you hadn't had a open forum for the public's viewpoints to be heard for the Ipoh Beach development, the earmarking of spending millions of dollars to beautify or erect something nice without the consultation of your constituents and the people that live on this island, that's arrogance. For you to have a closed-door meeting and call it secret, or it's now hitting the newspaper as being secretive, and having a plan at 98%, completed without getting any buy-in from the rest of the community, or most especially the stakeholders, the doctors, the nurses, people that know what needs they need for this island. That's arrogant. And, I challenge the administration to come forward, bring their PIO, and explain their position, because this is election time. And I'm sick and tired of hearing all these things pop up, and it's irritating the whatnot out of me to hear all these stories come to light. And it's election time, folks. We can make a change. Change has to happen if we don't want to be shoved down, all these things down our throats. If the administration has something to say and they can defend their case, then let them. I want to hear it. Anyway, I just was frustrated because Ken Leon-Guerrero was very spot on everything he said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think from the get-go, most of the times when you plan something, you have a charrette. You call in the stakeholders,
right?
And
it's common practice.
Yeah. I mean, that's standard. In
a democratic society, you have buy-in with your people that voted you in.
Yeah.
You have open public forum to get the people's 2 cents to at least give us an opportunity. You don't close the door and say, "Well, sorry, I got high-paid directors that can make the decision on behalf of the people of Guam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the governor. I can make the decision for the people of Guam because I know better."
Yeah,
well, you know what? I hope the people of Guam understand that election is coming up, and if you don't like that kind of treatment, I advocate for you to go out there and cast your vote, because it's really frustrating to know all these things are going on and nothing is being said from the administration standpoint.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony, I don't mean to.
No.
I'm really irritated by this.
Well, me too. And it all started with what they're proposing for Ipoh Beach, and then now to read in the PDN front page, kept secret, plan kept secret.
Exactly, and that's their own doing. If they don't want anything to come out that way, then share and be transparent and allow the people of Guam to have something to say about it.
I mean, they're saying though that that they're required to share the plan in 4 presentations to policymakers and representatives of the island medical and public health sectors. But after the plan's already been developed, you would think you would engage them in the development of the plan
prior to a plan being 98% done.
Right.
Yeah, that's most logical pathways to completing a construction build. You have to have conversation on what is needed and how it looks and all the factors that are important. And then most especially getting the people of the islands buy-in.
Right.
Not just one office at the very top of Adelup and say, "Hey, make it so. I'm the governor." That's wrong.
Yeah. All right.
That's absolutely wrong. And I challenge the administration to come out tomorrow on Patty's show, because that's the administration show, to air and let us know what they're talking about.
Okay. All right, John.
All right, thanks.
All right, take care. We're going to take a break for traffic with Dyson Gold, then we're going to go right into the CBS News, and we'll be right back.